Hey everyone, it's me, Ari Rashid. I'm an anthropologist and sociologist. Listen, every movement out there has a spiritual backing. It works like this. When human beings come together in a movement and their motive for that movement is pure, then the Heavenly Father is obliged to redirect that movement to glorify Him. When a movement is not rooted in anything pure, with pure I mean something that can justify, something that's beneficial, something that's heading towards justice. When a human movement has no pure motive, that is in harmony with the will of the Heavenly Father. The Heavenly Father has the obligation to expose that movement so that it will self-destruct. That's what the Heavenly Father is doing. So human beings can decide by their own volition to come together. Human beings have that ability, but they don't have the entitlement to come together for whatever reason they want. That teaching on free will is false. Human beings are allowed by the Heavenly Father to come together, to voluntarily form movements for whatever cause they want, as long as that cause is in harmony with the will of the Heavenly Father. Because anything that is not in harmony with the will of the Heavenly Father is harmful and destructive, and it will bring forth nothing but misfortune and misery in the long run. So let's say now let's say you take United States, for example, and you have all these Brazilians, or better said, you have all these Mexicans moving into the United States. And let's say they all settle in the state of Iowa, and they build Mexican towns over there. They speak Spanish. They don't even understand English. And now you have Mexico having protective policy towards those Mexican migrants all the way in Iowa. Do you think the United States would agree with this? No. They would say, look, if these people want to come into the United States of America, they have to come in legally. And they can't just come here, build infrastructure, build real estate, and act like nobody that's right there matters. Or let's talk about Belgium and the Netherlands. Belgium and the Netherlands used to be one country from 1815 till 1839. Because it's 1839 that Belgium was formally recognized as an independent kingdom. Now, in the north of Belgium, they speak Dutch. It's called Flemish because it's kind of an accent. They speak Dutch with an accent, but still Dutch. A lot of the people in the Netherlands, the native Dutch people, as well as the natives in the north of Belgium, has either the same or similar ancestry, besides the same language. Some even have a common history. But let me tell you, no Dutch company can just go to Belgium and start building stuff over there without any consideration or consent from the Belgian authorities to the Belgian people that live there. Nobody would take it. Neither can the Belgians do the same in the Netherlands. Not going to happen. So let's say now you have a lot of people from Belgium coming to the Netherlands, disregarding the locals here in the Netherlands, and start building stuff, start changing stuff, and they don't care at all about the locals. If then a group of Dutch people would rise up and say, listen, we need to act against this. In that case, their motive for coming together is justified. The Heavenly Father is under obligation now to send believers to redirect them so that the movement will remain peaceful, prosperous, and effective. But what if the people in that movement don't want any guidance from the Heavenly Father? In this case, now the group has become toxic and wasteful, and the Heavenly Father will expose that movement and it will self-destruct. That's how it goes. What if, for example, you have a lot of Indians that suddenly want to move to Australia and they want to build Indian villages over there? They want to recreate India in Australia. And you have a lot of people in India backing this up for the sole reason that they're Indian too. And they want to show loyalty to their own people. It's a good thing to be loyal to your own people. But if your own people are in the wrong or they're doing evil, you should call it out. Just because they're your own people doesn't mean you should justify and condone and endorse everything they're doing. Absolutely not. Let's say you have a bunch of Indians committing crime in Australia and building Indian settlements in Australia, disregarding the locals. And let's say you have a bunch of people endorsing that. Why are they endorsing it? There's no good reason for it, and there's no way you can justify it. But hey, a similar thing is happening in Palestine with the West Bank. And because the Israelis are considered by a lot of people to be white people, because a lot of them had their origins in Europe, for some reason, a lot of people can't handle calling them out. Not all. I'm just saying that what's happening in the West Bank right now, if any other country would do that to a region, nobody would take it. But for some reason, a lot of people are either silent or openly endorsing what the Israelis are doing against the Palestinians in the West Bank. I'll just use that as an example. This video is not about the Palestine and Israel issue. I'm just using it as a case study. But let's say now you have people come together to defend a group of people that can't be defended. Let's say you have a bunch of illegal settlers who are actually harming the locals. And there are people who support the group of settlers, but they don't call out the evil the settlers are doing. That movement is satanic by nature. Why? Because what they do cannot be justified. It's not in harmony with the will of the Heavenly Father. So the Heavenly Father will trigger that group to expose themselves for what they're really about. Namely, ethnic cleansing and genocide. Simple as that. So, understand the following. No believer should just endorse and join any movement. You have to test the spirits. If the Heavenly Father is behind a movement because people have a pure motive for coming together, the Heavenly Father himself will send out holy angelic beings for the protection of those people coming together. And those holy angelic beings, they're at the side of the Heavenly Father. They will not seek attention for themselves. They will not unnecessarily make themselves known. They will not seek to have any guidance over the people. They're just there to assist the will of the Heavenly Father behind the scenes. And then the Heavenly Father will put believers in that movement to push that movement in the right direction. Now, those believers may not end up being the former leaders of that movement, but they'll be behind the scenes, push things around to glorify God. However, if a movement is not in harmony with the will of the Heavenly Father, then the Heavenly Father will expose that movement as a warning unto others, and it's up to others now to get away from that movement. Simple as that. Okay, for example, let's say you have a lot of women and girls being murdered in a country. That's femicide. And you have a movement of people calling out the femicide. And they say things as, we need to stop our girls and women being murdered. We need to do more to protect our women. What they're saying is true. Absolutely. What they're saying is true. What they're saying is justified. So there is a problem going on. Femicide. Women and girls being murdered in big numbers. It needs to stop. That's true also. What needs to happen is the people have to admit the problem, admit how far gone the problem is, and then you need to examine what contributes to this problem, what they did as a community to facilitate this problem, because somewhere the community failed. So the community has to own up to their failures and repent from their wickedness and repent from their neglectful attitude. That needs to happen, and then the community as a whole need to push justice. Justice isn't about putting people behind bars or catching the bad guys. It's about forcing each other to do what's best for the community. That's justice. So let's say there's this problem of femicide going on. And you have a big movement to stop violence against women. But here's the thing. They don't even own up to the failures of the community. If they don't own up to the failures of the community, how can the community ever improve? If the community does not improve, the problem will continue, or the problem will be replaced in another way. And apart from that, you need to understand, human beings are built a certain way. We have physical requirements. You need food, water, shelter. You need enough sleep. You need room for your body. Besides our physical requirements, we also have spiritual requirements to connect, to feel beloved, be welcome, all that. So human beings have requirements. We are not vehicles. We're not cars. Because if you don't put enough gas in your car, you won't get anywhere. You know that if you don't charge your mobile phone, it's a useless device. What I'm saying is, human beings have requirements. Men have requirements and women have requirements. So let's say now you have a movement that wants to stop violence against women. That's what they say. But they end up putting all the blame on the men. Oh, teach your son. Teach the men to stop bothering women. So they turn the male population into the perpetrators. Even though there are also women who murder other women. But they don't talk about that for some reason. But hold on a minute. So they put the pressure on the men to do their part. But hold on a minute. What about the part the women have to do? If the men have to be masculine and protective of women, why is no pressure on the women to be feminine and cooperative? No, a woman can do whatever she wants. This is a feminist idea. A woman can do whatever she wants. Her body, her choice. A woman doesn't owe anything, blah, blah, blah. Hold on. If you come with the my body, my choice thing, I don't owe anyone anything, why should the men now owe protection to these women? Thing is, to solve the problem of femicide, the whole community has to admit their failures, come to terms that they failed, and they have to be pushed to be better, both the men and the women. So also those toxic, reprobate women need to be dealt with. Those toxic women out there who are causing a lot of contention in the community need to be addressed too. Because a lot of those conflicts which led to women being killed, those toxic climates, it wasn't just men who caused those climates. Women were part of it too. That does not justify killing girls and women, absolutely not. Just know when things go wrong in the community, the climate in the community, the social climate needs to be addressed. And it's not just the men who bring pollution to the climate. The women do it too. But if a group comes together, or let's say if people form a group, because a movement is a group. If it can be a temporary group or a group is a little more long term. But when a group comes together, when people come together to discuss violence against women, but they never address the feminine part that needs to be done by the women, they put all the weight on the men, guess what? There will be no solution. How can a solution happen if the whole community is not in on it? There will be no solution. You cannot say, well, there's a problem, we need to work on it. Oh, but some people don't have to work on it, they have a right to will whatever they will. You can't do either everyone wills whatever they will and things get worse, or people realize we have the obligation to do something about it for each other's well-being. It's one of the two, but you can't do both. So if you have, let's say, a group come together and they say that they are against violence against women, needs to stop, but they never address sexual balance, sexual harmony, according to the will of the Heavenly Father, I'm telling you, they are liars. There's a problem going on, femicide, they're upset about it, rightfully so, but they're not going to the root to deal with what really goes on, what causes it, how they can fix as a group. They're not into finding a real solution. They just want to ventilate how upset they are about the femicide, and they want it to be covered up. Because if they truly want it to be solved, both they would encourage healthy masculinity and healthy femininity. And a lot of those groups are only highlighting female victimhood. It's the only thing they're highlighting. But they don't highlight the neglect on the part of the women. They never do that. As if it's all the men's fault. As if women never contribute to a bad climate where also women get hurt. Oh, by the way, the bad social climates out there that get women killed also get men killed. But for some reason, when it happens to men, it doesn't matter. I mean, how can you come with such a narcissistic attitude and expect things to get better? It doesn't. So let's say you have a female believer who has been the victim of domestic violence in the past. And she, as a believer, she hears people come together because they're against the violence against women. And this female believer thinks, hey, I can be part of that. She's quite naive. The Holy Spirit will cause disruption in her life so that she will see what this group is really about. And then she has to obey the guidance of the Heavenly Father and get away from that movement. If she doesn't, the Heavenly Father will tolerate some bad things to happen to her so that she will become a bad example to other believers that if you go your own way without regard to the guidance of the Heavenly Father, you put yourself at risk. Simple as that. The Heavenly Father will not protect her enabling the satanic movement, because then the Heavenly Father will be enabling harm and evil, and the Heavenly Father is not going to do that. What I'm saying is, people can come together, form movements, that means temporary groups, sometimes long-term groups. We can do that as long as the motive is pure, as long as the motive is in line with the will of the Heavenly Father. If it's not in line with the will of the Heavenly Father, that movement is satanic. The whole motive is actually nothing but the embodiment of violence. So it's actually organized violence, all it is. The Heavenly Father will expose it and expect others to withdraw from it. Simple as that. Once the Heavenly Father exposes it and people don't withdraw from it, they now are in agreement with the violence, they're part of the violence, and they cease being victims. From that point on, they are collaborators and perpetrators of the evil. Simple as that. So I want you to test the spirits when it comes to those movements out there. Don't look at skin color, don't look at ethnic background, don't look at political or financial class. Test the spirits. Again, even unbelievers can come together as a movement. If unbelievers come together and the motive for coming together is in harmony with the will of the Heavenly Father, the Heavenly Father is obliged to send guidance to them, to redirect them to His glory, which will benefit everyone involved. If the people come together, it's not in harmony with the Heavenly Father, because if their motive is all about being left alone, or it's all about, we don't really want to deal with this, but we need to admit it. Just like that example I gave about femicide. If people are not really in on the solution for the long run, then they just want to cover themselves. They don't want to go so far to call out the deeper dysfunction in the community. Because listen, if people have been dysfunctional for the long run, especially if dysfunction goes throughout generations, and that's what calls it out, it's going to upset a lot of people. And when a lot of people are upset, it's going to lead to a bad climate too. But it needs to be addressed. You know what I mean? So often when there's long-term dysfunction, or what if the dysfunction becomes actual injustice for the long run, and a lot of people are involved in it, calling it out will get a lot of people upset and angry. And because some people don't want to go through that, seeing the climate becoming darker, they now will mention the injustice, say they're against it, but they don't participate in things actually getting better. What are they doing? Now, I'm not talking about if someone has a 9-to-5 job, doesn't have much money, and there's not much they can do. If people cannot do as individuals much about a problem, guess what? They can't do much about it, but they can show solidarity and show empowerment to people who do have the ability to do more. I'm not talking about that. But when people simply do not even participate in any direction towards compliance with justice, guess what? They're just doing the following. Hey, I admit the problem is there, I'm not okay with it, but at the same time, I'm not going actually deep to do something about it because that will disrupt my daily ease, and I don't want to do that. I just want to be left alone, but because I cannot ignore this, it will look bad to me, I'll call it out. So is that really consideration, kindness, love, all that? No, it's not. Let me tell you. When evil and negativity are addressed, a lot of people don't want it to happen. Because once you address something, now something needs to be done about it. A lot of people will cooperate and collaborate with a solution only when they're forced to. Because if it was up to them not to be done about it, they would forget all about it or deny it or censor it or whatever. And they would attack the people calling it out. It's just the way the world is. So whenever you deal with a movement, don't look at what they're saying. Don't look at what they are calling for. Look at the fruit. Because Jesus says you will know them by the fruit. The same is with movements. You shall know them by the fruit. If the Heavenly Father is behind the movement, you will see a redirection. So it will be more in harmony with the will of the Heavenly Father. But if it's not in harmony with the will of the Heavenly Father, you'll see all types of confusion, religiosity, and all this other stuff coming up in there that cannot be justified. So test the spirits when it comes to movements. Well, that's it for now. Keep on creaming Christ and be at peace.